What's up, guys? We are live. What's up, everyone? This is the live Blender Q&A and tutorial. What's up, everyone? Hello. What's up, Nova? Guys, I just came back from the Blender conference in LA. It was awesome. I don't know if anyone was there. Was anyone on the live? Were you at the Blender conference in LA? Let me know if you were there. Again, we had the Blender conference in LA at the Fonda Theater Friday and Saturday. There was over 300 people. Hi, what's up? This is Kishore. Good morning. What's up, Anu Manu Wisdom? What's up, Mr. Rudy? What's up, guys? Again, this is the live Blender Q&A and tutorial. I love your tips. Thank you, Indogi 15. Sorry, brother. Thank you, man. I'm glad you enjoy the tutorials and tips. Again, guys, this is a live Blender Q&A that we do every weeknight. So if you have any questions regarding anything in Blender, you could ask it. And then we're going to do a live tutorial. So guys, good morning. Sam Chaudhary says, Chaudhary. Sorry if I butcher anyone's names. By the way, guys, just came back from the Blender conference. I saw Donut Man, aka Andrew Price. There was Default Cube there. Kent Tramal, all the people from CG Cookie. Of course, Ton was there, the founder of Blender. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of networking, some cool presentations. I did do an Instagram live a little while ago on it, so you guys could check that out. But with that, guys, let's get right into it. Once again, if you want the best viewing experience, just click on the Zoom link or join in the Zoom. So to join in the Zoom, just go to zoom.com and type in the ID 824-9416-7520, and you'll be able to watch in full screen and ask questions, etc. So with that, does anyone have any questions? And again, there are no stupid questions. I know a lot of people are beginners. So if you have beginner questions, that is totally fine. But if you have questions regarding geometry nodes, shader nodes, modeling, anything, you can feel free to ask it tonight. So if anyone has any questions whatsoever, what's up, Ab? Ab, I didn't know your username was Architect Ab. What's up, brother? Let me see the Zoom chat. Fix your cam, it's showing OBS. Yes. Thank you, Wisdom. Let me just turn off my camera. We don't need it. Ab says, sup, Alex. What's up, brother? Yeah, guys, for next year, you should have the goal to go to Blender conference. Guys, there was a lot of people using Blender in all kinds of different ways to make money. I met this dude who just took pictures of plants to make textures for textures.com. There were some other people who created their own company to do VFX. Some others would just do, some architecture stuff. It was pretty crazy. I changed it. Okay, that makes more sense. I was thinking, when the heck was your name, Architecture Ab? All right, so again, if anyone has any questions regarding anything in Blender, you can feel free to ask it. Again, there are no stupid questions, so if you think your question is simple or silly, ask it anyways. But yeah, guys, go to the next year's Blender conference. It was pretty sweet. And we did a live hour of power. We also, went biking and all that good stuff. So it's cool, especially if you've never been to LA. You get to visit LA, do a little bit of Blender, and it's all fun. All right, does anyone have any questions? Again, it could be anything in Blender. And if not, I'll just get into a tutorial here if no one has any questions. And then if people have questions, we could then get into that. Best place to sell my model and textures, Ab asks. Actually, that's a great question, Ab. So Ab's question is, best place to sell my model and textures. It's a good thing you asked me that now that I've been to the conference, my friend, because I actually met these people over there who had a booth, and that's basically what they do. So if you go to, and let me see if I remember the website name. So over there at the conference, I met these people, and obviously the first place where you could sell your models and textures is Blender Market. But over there at the Blender conference, there was this booth, and these people have this website called renderhub.com. So renderhub.com, you could sell your models, and it seems like a pretty sweet marketplace to be able to sell your models. I saw the guy's presentation. He was presenting on it. And basically, you could create your profile, upload however many models you want. And basically, a couple of tips that he gave is if you have a lot of models, don't just upload 1 or 2 models. Upload all of the models you have on the site, because then you'll have much more success. Another tip that he gave is for your models, create a good thumbnail so that it draws people in, so that people buy your models. The next tip was, obviously, you could just upload your file as an FBX or an OBJ, but if you provide more options, people are more likely to buy it. So provide a .blend file, provide a Maya file, an FBX file, OBJ file. Provide as many file types as you can. And besides that, just make sure your model has, good topology and all that, and you will most likely succeed with it. But yeah, renderhub.com, guys, and you could check it out. Also, Blender Market is rebranding their name to something Hive. I forgot what it's called. They're taking Blender out of the name. It's called crap. I forgot what it's called. Something Hive. But yeah, so Blender Market or Render Hub. Great question though. And again, it seems like a pretty awesome marketplace to sell your models. So yeah, I would check that out, Ab. Again, guys, if you want to sell your models, check out Render Hub. But again, if you're going to sell your models, guys, don't go tipping your toes in it. Go full out on it. If you have 100 models, upload all 100 of them. Don't just upload 2 and wait to see if they sell. You're not setting yourself up for success that way. Just go full in. If you go, half-assed, excuse my French, it might not work out, and it probably won't. You got to go full in. I'll check it out, Ab says. Awesome. All right, guys. Any other questions? Again, great question by Ab. His question was a place to sell his models. So great question. So renderhub.com. And of course, there's also turbosquid.com and Blender Marketplace. But this one seems pretty sweet. All right. Anyone new who's joining? Again, we are live on Facebook. Actually, not Facebook because they changed their API. We're live on Instagram, Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. And again, guys, join in the Zoom link to be able to see in full screen. All right. Does anyone have any other questions? How to master Blender, sir? This is Kishore asks. So Ab says, can we do clouds with lightning? I'm actually going to do a tutorial on that, Ab, here. I am beginner, sir. This is Kishore says. So Kishore, are you absolute beginner? Or are you kind of... So Kishore's question is how to master Blender. So guys, right now, I am actually redoing the A to Z course right now. So that course goes from not knowing anything at all to knowing pretty much a little bit of everything in Blender. Now, I may make that course free. I'm not sure yet. Again, that's yet to be determined. But Kishore, what area of Blender are you trying to master? Let me ask you that first. Are you trying to do like animation, modeling, lighting? What are you trying to do? So what area of Blender are you trying to master? And then Ab, I'm actually planning to do a tutorial with lightning and clouds here. Although, let me see if I could show you something here for lightning and clouds after I answer Kishore with geometry nodes. Let me see if I can open a freaking file. And what about the car? Vroom, vroom. Yeah, I mean, I just got back this morning, but I didn't forget about that, Ab. He says modeling. Kishore asks modeling. So Kishore's question is how to master Blender, and specifically how to master modeling in Blender. Animation and modeling. Awesome. Well, Kishore, so again, guys, Kishore's question is how to master modeling and animation in Blender. First of all, I would master modeling first, because if your characters or your models have correct topology and good flow, they will be easier and better to animate. So the first thing I suggest is, let me get a picture over here. Topology workflow. Give me a second. Let me see where it is. So let me 3D merging. What is it called? Let me hold on. Give me a second. Uh, 3D topology guide, I think it's called. All right, so here we go. So one of the important things when you're modeling is to be able to connect or create different kind of loops and workflows. So for example, if you Google over here 3D topology guide, yes, and an A to Z for the basics for free, like maybe a 12-part series makes sense. Absolutely, Ab. So guys, right here, if you Google 3D topology guide, there's different images, but you can see, for example, this one, it shows you different kind of ways to restructure the flow of your topology. For example, this one is a 4:2. So it takes, as you can see right here, 1, 2, 3. Actually, let me see it right here. Let me see, where is it? 1, 2. So right here, you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 edges or faces, and it goes to 2 edges or faces. This one is a 5:3. So what I suggest is first getting kind of the hang of that. So for example, right here, and again, just go to Google Images, and here, this will basically help you to understand how to redirect the flow of your topology and of your mesh. Because obviously you're going to do this on a plane, but this helps you to understand how it works for bigger models. So for example, right here, you have right here, you're going to have, for example, let me do the, right here. For example, if we have the 3:1, so for example, here, if I just go ahead and add a loop cut right here. So let me see. Why isn't it adding loop cuts? There we go. So right here, actually, I'm just going to do it a little differently. So here, if I have a loop cut right here, and then I have these 2 edges, and I extrude them down like this, you can see that I could then merge. Right now, it's just 2 faces to 2 faces, or 3 vertices to 3 vertices. But let's say I wanted to convert this from 3 vertices to just a single vertex right here. Well, right here, if I select these vertices and hit the M key and merge them at center, you can see that I converted it from 3 to 1. However, we have triangles now. So here I'm then able to merge these faces together by selecting them and hitting the F key. And now you can see that I have this quad. Now this right here is very useful for the fingers. For example, I use this kind of topology for the part in between the fingers. So there's this one right here. And then you have other ways to redirect your topology as well. For example, if I subdivide this and inset this kind of like this, you can see that here I'm then able to kind of piece these together a little bit differently. So for example, let's see. I'm going to put quite a bit of topology there. So like that. So here I could go ahead and, for example, if I wanted to converge all of these to a smaller amount of vertices, I could go ahead and, for example, select these and extrude these out like so, and then merge them at center, fill these together, and same thing with these, extrude them, merge them at center right here, and fill these together. And then right here, you can see I can merge these at center. And let me see. That is not what I want to do. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me see. How do I want to do it? So right here, let me go ahead and add in one loop cut. So right here, and then inset these. Also, when you inset this, you can see that you have a nice flow of your topology. So one thing, again, it's all about redirecting the flow of your topology. So for example, right here with just a grid, you have the loop cuts that go left and right and up and down. However, let's say you were making the eyes of a character. So let's say that right here, let me add a mirror modifier and like that. Let's say this was the face of the character right here, and you're modeling this. So right here, let's just say that's the face of the character. Well, understanding loop flow and topology, to make some eyes right here, you want a circle around the eyes. So you wouldn't necessarily add loop cuts like so and kind of, try to add loop cuts like this and then like that, and then try to delete these faces right here. Because although that can work for eyes, and if I make this to sphere like that, it could work for eyes. You can see that I don't have a loop that's going around the eyes, which is not good. So instead, if you inset something, so for example, if I select these and hit the I key to inset, you can see it creates this loop around the eyes right here. So then I could delete this and Alt-Shift-S and make it to sphere, like so. And let me get the loop tools. Do I have the loop tools enabled? Let me see. Loop tools. Yeah. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Circle. There we go. So now you can see I have this topology or this loop that goes around the eyes, which is going to help me to contour the eyes. So again, with modeling, it's really about understanding the topology flow and how to redirect loops. For example, an n-gon is going to go ahead and redirect the flow of your loops. For example, let me get my model here. Where is it? Give me a second as I get this. Where is it? New courses, animated short, major loops. This one right here. So you can see right here on this human character, we have, for example, some n-gons, not n-gons, some poles, sorry. So you can see that this is a pole. Again, a pole is basically a vertex that has more than 4 sides. So you can see that this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what this does is you can see I have a nice loop around the eyes right here. But then this pole allows for me to also have a loop around the nose and the chin, and also a loop around the face right here and the forehead and around the nose. So understanding the loop flow and how poles work and how it affects the flow of your topology is really the first step to modeling, because then you're able to understand it. For example, n-gons and triangles will terminate your loops. So for example, here, if I add a cube, you can see I have a cube. This is all quads, so it's four-sided faces or four vertex faces. If I want to add loop cuts here, I can, and it goes around. However, if I select this face and subdivide it, this is now I'm going to subdivide it. This face right here is now an n-gon. Again, an n-gon is just a face that has more than 4 vertices. So it has n amount of vertices. So you can see this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vertices. So if I try to add a loop cut, you can see the loop cut is no longer going through here. It will go, actually it won't go on this side either. So you can see even on this side, you can see that the loop cut is no longer going through the mesh because n-gons terminate the loop cuts. And that's why a lot of times they're not good. Also, they don't deform properly if the mesh is not completely flat. So if your mesh is kind of like this, it's not going to deform or shade properly. The same goes for triangles. So right here, if I add a UV sphere, again, n-gons and triangles are great if you know how to use them. But you can see right here at the top, we have triangles. And if I try to hit Control R, you can see that the loop gets terminated at the top. Because again, n-gons and triangles will terminate your loops, so they won't flow through those. What's up, Growl? And so that's why it's good to, let me zoom in here. That's why it's good to have your mesh as quads only, or as much as you can. Now you can see that as I was talking about that redirection of loops, you can see that I have, gosh dang it, you can see I have exactly that right here. So right here, there's these, you can see right here, I've converted these 3 vertices to 1 vertex here. Because my wrist, again, my wrist right here only has 12 vertices. But around here, there's like 20 or 30. So to be able to take your loops and be able to convert them into a different topology, as you can see right there. And the same goes for the whole model. You can see that right here. I've basically taken this insetted face. So this was insetted for the knuckles. And then right here, I'm just taking this and extruding it down here and then merging it into less geometry. And same thing right here. You can see for the elbows, I've done the same thing. I have 3 vertices converged to 1, and then this creates the bend for the elbow. And same thing with the knees. So again, if you go to Google and type in what I had typed in, which is the topology guide, you can see that you have these images which show you different guides for topology, which is really, really cool. So hopefully that answers your question, my friend. So I would just download these topology guides and just mess with them and try different topology tricks and techniques. All right. Hopefully that helps you. Does anyone have any other questions regarding anything? Again, it can be anything in Blender. And again, you can see there's a bunch of different topology guides here, as you can see right there. Again, guys, we do this live Q&A and tutorial every single weeknight. So every weeknight, same time, same place, we do this Q&A and tutorial, which is a lot of fun. All right. What's up, Growl? How are you, man? 5 hours later. All right, guys. So with that, let me go ahead and get a new scene right here. Does anyone have any other questions? Great question. Useful, sir. Anytime, man. I'm glad that was useful. Does anyone have any other questions? Again, the questions can be simple. They could be about geometry nodes, shader nodes, whatever you want. So again, there are no stupid questions. Whatever you want. If you have questions about anything, you could go ahead and ask it. By the way, guys, the official site for this community is blendermania3d.com. So blendermania3d.com is the official site for the community. All right, let me see. Let me see if people on YouTube have any questions. Not yet. Ab was asking about something with lightning and clouds. Let me show you here quickly, man. So right here, let me, where is it? Hold on. Dang it. There we go. So Ab was asking how to make lightning with clouds. Let me see. I'm going to make a tutorial on that, my friend. I'm going to make a short. Let me see. I think it was during the portal scene. Nope. Hold on. The alien. Where is it? Sci-fi alien scene. Here it is. Which one was it that had my clouds with lightning? Let me see. I'm trying to find it. Hey, in the meantime, I think. All right, there we go. So here, Ab, as you can see, I got some way. And let me try to change it to Eevee because cycles is going to lag. So right here, this is all geometry nodes. As you can see, it's quite a setup. So I'll probably do this as a tutorial. I mean, this is part of the course too, but I'll do a simplified version of it. But with geometry nodes, you could create some really awesome lightning effects with some clouds and volumetrics. Let me see if this thing loads. 5 hours later. Let me also hit Shift H maybe to hide everything except for that. And I guess it's not functional in Eevee. All right, so as you can see here, guys, I'll switch it back. For some reason, it lags when I'm in cycles. And it's a pretty sweet setup. Again, this is all done with geometry nodes. As you can see right here, we can move this and the lightning will basically adapt to the scene. It's always going towards the floor, as you can see right here. And you could definitely animate this. But again, the node setup is quite a bit. I would have to do this another time because, yeah, but it's relatively simple. It might look a little complicated, but basically there's a cube and it's converting it to a volumetric using the mesh to volume node, as you can see right here. So I have the mesh to volume, and then right here, I'm distributing points in that volume. And then on those points, I'm basically instancing the lightning object. And as you can see, it's, let me see, it's using the sample nearest. So based on how close it is to the floor, it's going to always be connecting to the floor, as you can see right there. But I'm going to create a tutorial or a short to do that, Ab, because again, this is a little bit more in depth and it will take quite a while. All right. Does anyone have any questions regarding anything? And we're going to get into the tutorial. Grouse says can't complain. So talking about geometry nodes, actually, we're going to do a little geometry nodes tutorial, guys, because a lot of people might be intimidated by geometry nodes, but it's going to be pretty sweet and very simple. So for the geometry nodes tutorial, we're just going to do it so that we could make a fence with geometry nodes. So it's going to be very simple, but very cool. So if you want to follow along, just open up Blender. And here we're going to get started with that. So right here with the cube, again, we want to use our default cube. We're just going to model one section or piece of the fence. So here, we're going to go into edit mode. And again, I'm going to make this very simple. We're going to scale this down. GZ, bring it up so that the origin point is right here. And then we're going to grab the top face and just hit G and Z and bring this up like so. So that we have the post of the fence. I'm going to hit the A key to select everything. And S and Y and scale it on the Y. Then I'm going to add a loop cut right here. I'm actually going to add 2 loop cuts. Or actually, I'm going to add a loop cut right here. Place one right here. Add a loop cut. One right here. And then I'm going to Alt-Shift left click this second loop cut. And I'm just going to hit Control-B to bevel it. Then I'm going to select these 2 faces and E and extrude them like so. So basically, we just have this single piece of fence. We could then move this to the side. And here we're going to add a curve. So let's hit Shift-A, add a curve, Bezier curve. So again, we're adding a Bezier curve. Again, I'm showing you how to do a simple fence with geometry nodes. We're going to go to geometry nodes over here. Let me close the spreadsheet. And we're going to click on New to add a new geometry nodes. So what we want to do is we want to instance, again, an instance is a duplicate of an object. We want to instance this fence piece onto the curve. So right here, what we're going to do is hit Shift-A, and we're going to get an instance on points and drop it in between here. So now it's going to create an instance for every point of our curve. Again, you can see our curve has 2 points or 2 handles. So we'll have 2 fence pieces. Now right here in the instance, we need to put our fence. So we're going to drag the cube from the outliner, which is our fence, and drag it in and drop it there. And then we're going to plug the geometry into the instance right here. So now we basically have the fence pieces right there. Now, if we go ahead and go into edit mode of this curve, we could delete these vertices and get the draw option for the draw curve. So right here, if you hit the T key, you have this draw curve option. And we could just draw a new curve for however we want our fence. So let me redraw that. So let's say our fence is like that. Now you can see that we have one issue, is that the fence pieces are not aligning to the curvature of the curve. They're all just facing to the right. So right here, out of the rotation, we want to align them to the curve tangent. Now, and by the way, guys, if you have any questions as I do this, just ask it. Now, what is the curve tangent? The tangent of the curve is the direction that the curve is going in. So right here, let me get arrow. So right here, the tangent of this curve handle is this way. It's basically the perpendicular direction of the curve. The curve tangent, the tangent of this curve handle is this way. The tangent of this curve is this way. The tangent of this curve is this way, etc. It's basically the direction that the curve is going. So we want these fence pieces to align with the tangent of the curve. To do that, we need to go ahead and we want to get the information of the tangent of this curve and rotate these based off of that. So here, from the rotation, we're going to get an align Euler to vector right here. Now, this might sound complicated, but an Euler is basically a rotation. So it's align the rotation to the vector. So this node is going to allow for us to, again, align the rotation. Again, Euler is basically another name for rotation in simple terms. So it's going to align the rotation to the vector. Now right here, again, a vector. Now, what the heck's a vector? A vector is just a position in space. So for example, if right here you can see we have X, Y, and Z. And we have Z as 1. So again, a vector is a point in space. So if you had a vector, let me get my annotate line. If you had a vector of 1, 1, and 1, so let's just change this to 1, 1, and 1. A vector, again, is a point in space. So right here, the vector of 1, 1, and 1, again, the first one is the x-axis. So right here, 0 is right here. So 0, 2, 1 right here. Where's my arrow? Arrow. So right here, let me make sure I'm zoomed in. There we go. I was zoomed in too much, I think. So from here to here, this is 1. Why? Hold on. I have my start to arrow. There we go. So this is 1 on the X. Then we have 1 on the Y. So if I go to side view right here, if we go 1 on the Y, we have here. And then 1 on the Z. So 1 on the Z is right here. So the vector of 1, 1, and 1 is this position. Dang it. Is this position in space right here. So this is the vector right here. And this was drawn a little bit off the side. So this right here is the vector of 1, 1, and 1. However, it's right here. So there we go. All right, let me redraw it. So 1, 1, and 1. All right, so 1 on the X. I'm just going to draw it from this view. 1 on the Y. So right there. And 1 on the Y. And 1 on the Z. So again, 1 on the X, 1 on the Y, 1 on the Z. So a vector of 1, 1, and 1 is this point in space right here. So that's what a vector is. Again, a vector is just the point in space dictated by the X, Y, and Z. Now, what we're getting is we're not just going to get a point in space. We're going to get the tangent information. So out of the vector, we're going to get the tangent node right here. So tangent right here. And now you could see that as we change this right here, so right here, and let me see. So they actually changed this node right here. Oh, I got the wrong one. I didn't see, oh no, this is a vector math tangent. All right. So we want to get a tangent node, a curve tangent, not a vector math tangent. So right here, we got a curve tangent. Again, the curve tangent node is pulling the information of the position in space that these curves are in. So this curve, again, its tangent is the perpendicular direction, and this is getting the X, Y, and Z direction, the X, Y, and Z information that dictates the direction of this. So again, this is getting the information of the direction of these in the different points in space where they are. So now we have the information of where the curves are pointing to or oriented in. So now you could see, again, if I hit the M key, I can mute a node. So if I mute this, you can see that the fence pieces are all pointing to the right. If I unmute this, you can see that they are now following along the curved tangent. Now here you could also change the pivot, or sorry, the rotation and or the pivot. Right here, you could control, shift, and scroll your mouse wheel to quickly change these, or just select it in the drop down. So depending on how you orient this, you might need to change this. But here in this case, you could see X and auto works fine. All right, we're almost done, guys. The next issue that we have, why am I on the cursor? The next issue that we have is that this fence does not have enough pieces to it. And that's because if we look at our curve only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 curve handles or points. So we only have 5 pieces. So what we want to do is we want to get a resample curve right here and drop it after the geometry input right there. Now the resample curve is basically going to re-subdivide, in a way, your curve. So right here, you can see that with this count, we're able to dictate how many fence pieces we have, as you can see right there. So now we can have multiple fence pieces. How awesome is that? Now, one issue is that if I draw another fence by getting my draw tool, so draw, let me delete this one, and let me draw the fence longer, you can see that I now have an issue. It's not connected. And that's because this resample curve is set to count. So if my fence is smaller, it works with a count of 24. But if it's longer, it's not going to work because obviously there's not enough pieces. So we could change this from count to length. So now it's going to take into account the length of the curve and put that many pieces. Now right here, we have the amount of spacing in between each of the fences. So we could hold down shift and increase this until we get the proper length where they start to connect, like that. So now, if I draw a small fence or a really long fence, it doesn't matter. I have the proper length. And now we're able to just draw however many fence pieces we want with geometry nodes. How awesome is that? Now, of course, you could replace these with anything you want. PH, what's up? What's up, PH? What's up, brother? So you could replace this with anything you want. You could put something else, but this is a really cool little simple technique to be able to create some procedural fences with geometry nodes. And you can see, guys, that it's a very simple node setup. Again, we have our curve with a resample node, an instance on points, the fence object, and then an align Euler to vector with a curved tangent. And now we could just draw our fence however we want. Pretty cool. All right. Does anyone have any questions on that? Does anyone have any questions on what I just went over? Any questions on any of these nodes or what they mean? Or what's the meaning of life? No, I'm just kidding. And then if you want to add a material, you could just add a new material. You could change it to whatever you want. And then right here, all you need to do is add a set material node, and just select the material, and boom, you got your fence color right there. As you could see. Very, very cool. Hi, what's up, Poncho? Also, let me show you guys another thing that's really cool. Let's say you want some parts of the fence to be a little bit broken and not there. Well, right here, you could see that we have a selection option right here. This selection is basically what parts or what selection of the curve is going to have an instance. With nothing in it, every single point and it's based on the length. Every single point of our curve is going to have a fence piece. But let's say we don't want a fence piece on every single point. Well, out of the selection, we could get a random info or a random value, excuse me, and we could change this probability. So if I change the probability to 0, we won't have any fence pieces. At 1, we will have all the fence pieces. So I could just bring this down slightly, and now some of our fence has missing pieces, which makes it look a little bit more authentic. Pretty freaking cool. Also, another thing, this is another cool thing. Let's say you want to randomize your fence a little bit more. Well, we could select our original. What the heck is this piece? I guess that's just a stray curve right there. Let me delete that. We could select our original piece, and let's say we want to randomize this a little bit more. With the original piece, let's just hit Shift-D, duplicate this. And let's say on this piece, we want to delete this bottom part. So I'm just going to delete, not the vertices, faces. And let me just fill that. Fill. And then let me duplicate another piece. And let's say on this one, this piece is like crooked and kind of slanting down like that. So now we have variations to our fence pieces. I could shift select all 3 of these, hit the M key and move it to a new collection. I'll just name it fence. And whoops, I didn't click OK. Let me move it again. New collection, fence, and click OK. So now if I go over here, instead of an object, I'm going to delete this. And out of the instance, I'm going to get a collection info. And here the collection will be fence. And now you can see that we have all these different fence pieces. However, you can see that we have one issue. First of all, they're not really aligned properly. And that's because we need to click on separate children right here and reset children right here. And that will basically reset their position and their orientation. Next thing you'll notice is that all of these 3 pieces are all instanced or layered on top of one another. So basically every point of our curve, so let's say there's a point right here, every point has all 3 of these pieces on top of one another. So here, all we need to do is select pick instance, and right here, it will just pick one of these objects to instance on there. And so now you can see that we took our very generic fence and we've randomized it a little bit with these 3 different pieces and some broken pieces, etc. So how cool is that? Add a little bit of variety to the fence. Very, very cool. Does anyone have any questions on that so far? Questions, comments, reviews? I'm just kidding. So again, you could, obviously this is for a fence, but you could use this for any procedural. You could do at the Blender conference, someone had done like a line of clothing where the clothing hangs from the line. You could do that, of course. You could do whatever you want. And there you go. Again, any questions on this node setup or what any of these nodes mean or do? How do you split the randomness, Growl says. So what do you mean split the randomness? Right here with the probability, you could change how random it is. Is that what you mean? I'm not sure what you mean by splitting the randomness. Can you show the collection part again? I got a little confused on nodes. For sure, man. And let me know, Growl. So on the collection, Yogesh asked, can you show the collection part? Got a little confused on nodes. So instead of using a single object, just duplicate your fence pieces. So here I duplicated it twice and I made slight variations. The important thing also is that your origin point is at the bottom. Otherwise, it's not going to instance properly. So right here, I have all 3 of these. I'm going to shift select all 3 of these. I'm going to hit the M key and select new collection. So new collection, I can name this. So I'll name this fence 2 and click OK. And then here, going to my curve, what the heck happened? It just disappeared. Oh, well, because I changed the collection. And then right here, out of the instance, I'm going to get a collection info. And here I'm going to select the collection, fence 2. And then I'm going to select separate children right here. So it's basically going to separate out the children as individual instances and reset children, which resets their location and their place in the 3D scene. And then lastly, you want to select pick instance right there. Okay, so Growl says yes, but it uses the same amount for each piece through the random. But let's say I want less of the angled pieces and more of the straight, maybe even just a few missing ones. So yeah, great question. So that again, right here, so Growl's question is how can he have more control about which pieces are disappearing or being instanced? So right here we have instance index right here. So the instance index allows for you to pick which part of your collection is going to be instanced. So for example, here, if I get a, let me get, let's see, I'll get a compare node. So I'm going to get a compare node right here. And right here, I could go ahead and get an index node. So right here, you could see that with this, actually, that's not what I want. Let me see. There we go. So right here, I'm able to plugging this into the instance index. I could basically dictate which part is going to be instance right here. So every object is given a instance number from 0 and up. So it starts at 0 to 1, etc. So for example, right here, if I put in a random value, you can see that as I change this right here, I'm able to basically dictate how much of one piece will be there. So right here, it's going to randomize this. So right here, if I just put 1 to 1, you can see it's only giving me this piece where the top is sticking out. If I put 2 and 2, you can see it's only giving me the piece where it's going down. And if I put, I think it should be 0, the first one. So the first one, 0, it's giving me that piece right there. So with the instance index, I could kind of basically dictate which index is going to be put into the fence, basically. And then I could kind of control this a little bit more based on different criteria. So, for example, let me see how I want to format this. So, for example, here we could get, let me just get a geometry proximity. So right here, if I add like, let's say just a cube that's going to kind of dictate the proximity right here. And here out of the instance index, let me get a geometry proximity set to distance. Growl says it made the tutorial harder. Oops. Well, yeah, I mean, there's so much to geometry nodes. So let me see if I want to dictate it this way. So let me see. This might not be the best way to go about it. Let me see. Again, there's many different ways you can control it, Growl. So basically, again, the instance index is basically going to pick which instance is put where. And here you could control it with a proximity. For example, here, depending on the proximity of this cube, it's going to instance a certain object. But you could also You could also do it with the selection. So for example, let's say right here, I want some of the pieces deleted only where this is next to it. I think that was your original question. So out of the selection, I could get a delete geometry, or a, let me see, delete, where is it? Where is it? Delete geometry. Actually, I'm going to put it after. So after, I'm going to put a delete geometry right here. And right here, I'm going to delete instances because that's what we have. Right now, without anything plugged into here, it's going to delete everything. But if I, for example, put a cube and put the distance in here, and then right here, I could get a compare node, compare right here, and plug that in. You could see that I could change this to less than and then increase this. So right here, depending on where this is or where I move this, it will delete only those fence pieces. So obviously I would hide the cube in the render, but depending on where I move this, it will delete those fence pieces. So with this, you could have a little bit more control because I could, for example, duplicate this and I can move this wherever I want the fence pieces deleted. Excuse me. So let's say I just want fence pieces deleted here. Yeah, you just hide it in the render. And then I could just hide this and hide it in the render. And now I only have fence pieces deleted where I put those cubes. But yeah, you would just hide it in the render, and now I have a little bit more control. And again, this is just with a delete geometry set to instance, and then geometry proximity, distance, object info set to relative, and then a less than node. And this dictates how close or far they have to be from the cube to be deleted. And then again, you could just add these to have a little bit more control of where you want the fence pieces deleted. And then with that, you could also use the instance index to dictate how much of a piece you want replicated in there, basically. But great question. You could use an empty also, right? Or does it have to be an object? No, it has to be an object. You can't use an empty because the geometry proximity is based off of the proximity of the geometry, the faces, the edges, and points. If you have no geometry on this, it won't work. So it can't be an empty. For example, if I delete this, and let me remove that, you can see here, if I add an empty, plain axes, it won't work because again, it needs geometry. As you can see here, it's not doing anything. And the whole fence has disappeared because it's deleting everything. But if I remove this, you can see it's back. So you could just make 1 point in space too. Not really, because if you use a single vertex, it's not going to work well either. So for example, if I add a cube and just merge everything at center, I have a single point in space. And here, if I select this cube, it's not going to work really either. As you can see right here, it's not working. You need to have actual geometry. So for example, if I start to extrude this, what the heck? Oh, wait, let me go into vertex select mode. So if I start to extrude this, now you can see it. As soon as I have a face, it comes back. But if I delete these, and even if I have a single edge, it doesn't work. So you need to have at least a face. So yeah, you could have a single face, I guess, if you want. He says, oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, you could have a single face and it will work, but you have to have some kind of geometry. It can't be an edge or a single vertex. But again, you would then just hide it in the viewport and render. But again, this allows for you to have exact control of where you want it to be deleted, which is really sweet. But great question. Does anyone have any other questions regarding anything? And actually, let me add that back. There we go. Does anyone have any questions? Again, there are no stupid questions. If you're wondering, like, what does the geometry proximity node do? Or what does the resample curve node do? Or delete geometry? Or what is this option? You could ask it. There are no stupid questions, guys. But good question, Grail. Good question. And then, of course, you could expand on this. And there's a lot more you could do with this. Um, obviously, you could, for example, actually, let me show another cool thing you could do. Um, let's say, oh my back. Let's say at the end of each of these fence pieces, you wanted like a pole or a post. Well, over here, we could get an instance on points. So I'm getting a new instance on points. Instance on points. And I'm just going to plug the original curve into the points right here. So right here, let me Control Shift left click this. Let's say I want a pole or a post at the end and the start of each curve. From the instance, I could get a cube right there. And then let me scale up this cube and also mainly scale it up on the Z. So here I have it on every single handle. But like I said, I only want it at the start and the end of the fences. Well, out of the selection, I could get what's called an endpoint selection node right here. And that allows for you to do just that. You can see right here, we have the start selection, which is 1, and the end selection, which is 1 as well. So what this does is it's going to only put a instance on the selection of the start of the curve and the end of the curve. So now if I get a join geometry, I'm going to drop this after the set material and join this back in. You can see that here, let me delete some of these fences because I got way too many of them right there. And if I get my draw option, you can see if I draw this right here, you can see I get a pole or a post at the start and at the end of my fence. Whereas if I mute the endpoint selection, you can see I get a pole for every segment. But this gives me that. And then, of course, I could get a transform geometry after the cube and bring this up on the Z-axis to bring these up. So now I'll have like a fancier pole at the start and the end of my fence. Let's say you don't want it at the end, just put the end to 0. Or you don't want it at the start, just put the start to 0. You could also increase this. So as you increase this, you can see it adds one after the other. But yeah, that's a cool little addition that you could add to. Where can I find this video? I just got home from work and missed a lot of this. So Nick, this will be recorded on YouTube. So if you just go to my YouTube channel, Blender Mania, you'll find it there. So Blender Mania on YouTube, if anyone missed anything. All right. Does anyone have any questions about this node setup before we end off? By the way, guys, we do this every weeknight at 6 p.m. Same time, same place. So now you can see I could procedurally draw these fences, and I got a pole or a post at the end of it. I got some random pieces. And of course, I have this right here, which basically, if I duplicate it, dictates what part of the fences are going to be deleted. And then, of course, I would want to hide this in the viewport and the render once I'm done with it. And now we got some sweet stuff going on. All right. Anyone have any questions regarding what I just showed? What's up, Mouthpiece? Grouse says, cool. Yeah. By the way, guys, Nick says, thank you. If anyone wants the dot blend, I'm going to upload it right now to blendermania3d.com in the public chat. So I'm going to upload it there right now. Yo, Alex, what's up, Mouthpiece? So I'm going to upload it right now. If anyone wants this dot blend, blendermania3.com in the public chat, it's going to be there. Let me upload it for anyone who wants to check it. And anyone who missed anything from the tutorial, again, the recording will be on my YouTube, Blender Mania on YouTube. Just go to the live tab and you'll find it. Where's the fence? All right, there we go. Guys, the dot blend is uploaded to the public chat in a second here. So, and again, if you have any questions, just message me on blendermania3.com. All right. Anyone have any last questions, last minute questions about this tutorial and this node setup? Anyone have any questions? And then we'll end off. Again, question of what a node does, what a node means. What does it all mean? Any questions? I guess we are good. By the way, guys, this is really cool if you combine this with the draw on surface. So for example, here I could add a plane, scale it up. I could subdivide this like crazy. Of course, you could do this in geometry nodes too if you want. But let's just say I subdivide that. Let me scale it up a little bit more. And here I'll grab a couple of random points. Hit the O key to turn on proportional editing. GZ, bring these up. Scroll my mouse wheel up. So now I have like a hilly ground right here. Hold on, let me redo that because these are way too close to each other. GZ, like that. So now I have a hilly ground. If I select my curve, delete these vertices, I can hit the N key, go to the tool, and instead of drawing with the cursor, I could draw on the surface. And then I could just go to top view. I could draw on this like that. And now you can see that the curve and the fence conforms to the hill. How freaking awesome is that? Just with one click of a draw. Now you can see that right here, it's not conforming quite well. And that has to do with over here. You can see that we have this tolerance right here. The lower the tolerance, the more segments there will be and the more it will conform to the geometry. So if I put this to like 33, you can see that we won't have a lot of segments and it won't conform to it that well. But if I put this to like 2 right here and draw this, you can see that I get a lot more segments and it will conform to it a lot better. So there you go, guys. Can you explain the geometry tool or a small example of it? Like, can you make this into a tool? Can I explain the geometry? You mean the geometry node tools? Is that what you mean? So basically the tool option in geometry nodes. So let me see. So are you talking about this right here, the tool? Yeah, for sure. We could go more into that tomorrow if you want, Growl, and if you guys want. But guys, so for the geometry nodes, I'm in a new scene now. Oh, my back. So let me adjust this. In the geometry nodes, you can see you can have your geometry nodes as a modifier, or you could have it as a tool. So right here, if I click on tool, this basically allows for you to run the geometry nodes as a tool and use it destructively. Mouthpiece says, when conforming your fence to the surface, will that sidebar also have an effect on geonodes as well? So Mouthpiece, the only effect that it has on the geonodes is the tolerance, because as you decrease the tolerance, you'll have more segments. But no, it won't. It doesn't affect it. Actually, no, it doesn't really affect it because the resample curve node is set to length and not count. So with the setup that we did, it really has no effect. No. I won't be on tomorrow, but I can watch it later. Awesome, awesome. So Grau was asking how to use geometry nodes tools. So actually, let me redo this. So for example, guys, here when I add geometry nodes, and I'm just going to add an extrude mesh, you can see that here it's as a modifier. So under the modifiers, we have this geometry nodes modifier. And if I go into edit mode, you can see that it's non-destructive. I still have my original cube under here. But I can't actually edit any of this right here because, again, it's non-destructive. However, if I hit Shift-A and add a new cube, and if I change this from modifier to tool, we could basically run these geometry nodes as a tool, and it becomes destructive, and we could actually edit the mesh. So if I go to tool, again to tool, I could click on new, and here I could add an extrude mesh right here, like so. And then right here, you can see here we have types. So we're able to run it for meshes or hair curves. Again, this is hair curves, guys, not curves. And then right here, you can see we could run it in object mode or edit mode or sculpt mode. So I'm just going to enable object and edit mode. You could also run these in sculpt mode. So right here, you can see we have the name of our tool. Let me actually see. I forget if that's the name or if the name is, I think the name is here, extrude mesh, or maybe it's this. I forget. But we're about to find out in a second. You can see that up here in the top left, we have this unassigned menu right here. Okay, so I guess this is a name. So I'm going to rename this to extrude right here. And now if I go to this unassigned menu, you can see that I have this tool or this geometry nodes tool under this unassigned menu called extrude. And if I click it, it's going to run this geometry node setup, but it's going to run it destructively. So now if I go into edit mode, you can see that it's actually applied it to the mesh, and I could actually change this and edit it. Whereas with this one, I can't. How awesome is that? And you could run this on anything. So if I add in a UV sphere, and then I go to this and click on the extrude, you can see I could run it. Now, let's say, because right here, let me add this, a cube. Oh, neat, Growl says. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So right here, let's say I run this, but let's say I want to change the offset scale, because on this one, I could change the offset scale. As you could see, why isn't it working? Oh, because I'm still on the tool. My bad. So right here, you can see I could change the offset scale. But how do I do that on this one? Well, on this one, I could go ahead and plug any value into the group input. So let's plug the offset scale into here. And now when I run this, in the bottom left, I have the offset scale, and I could adjust this. And then again, it's applied destructively. Now, you could also, you can see that this extrude is in this unassigned menu. But let's say you want to change it and put it onto one of these menus. Well, you could go to your asset browser. So right here, asset browser. And right here, you can see that we have our unassigned menu right here. And right here, let me see. I'm trying to remember how to assign it. Let me see if I could remember. Basically, you type in the menu name right here, and you could assign it to another menu. But let me see. I forgot how to do it. Yeah, I'm forgetting how to do it, but you could basically assign it to any other menu. So basically, let me see if I can find it quickly. Hold on, give me a second, guys. I'm trying to, where the heck was it? Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure. I forgot where it was, but it's plain and simple. I mean, I could remember it easily, but basically right here, you have this unassigned menu, but you can actually put this under any of these menus by renaming the menu that it's under. Now, again, I'm forgetting where the heck that is, so we'll do that for next time. I'm trying to find it quickly, but I can't find it. Yeah, forget it. Another cool thing is that right here, again, you could have multiple of these. So you could have any geometry node set up and basically run it destructively. So let's say right here, you want to extrude it and then scale it. So right here, I'm just going to get a scale elements right here. And I'm just going to scale the top. And I'm going to put the scale into the group input. So now if I add a cube right here, let me move it aside. You can see that now if I run this, extrude, I now have the offset scale right here. And then I could also scale the ends of it. So I could do some cool stuff like this. And again, this can be done on any mesh. So if I want a Suzanne, I could add Suzanne. I could run this geometry node. I could extrude it and then scale it however I want. And we got spiky Suzanne, which is more horrifying than I thought. It's like a freaking urchin, a sea urchin. But as you can see, so there you go. End panel of asset area. End panel of asset area. Oh, you mean in the asset, the end panel? I don't think so. It was very simple and it was easy to find. But again, I'm forgetting exactly where it is. Let me see. Wait. I think I know. No, I'm I'm just blanking out. Oh wait. Let me see. Yeah, no. I'm forgetting where it is. Maybe I have to save the file. Let me see. Hold on. By the way, does anyone have any questions on that? Does anyone have any questions on that? Maybe I have to save the file. I don't think I have to save the file, but again, I'm forgetting exactly where it is. Yeah, no, it still doesn't show up. Not sure, but again, it's in the geometry nodes course. All right, anyone have any questions on that? By the way, guys, again, if you missed anything, the recording will be on blendermania3.com, Blendermania on YouTube. So with that, guys, we are going to end off. Hope everyone got some value. And again, guys, we do this again tomorrow evening. Excuse me. Same time, same place. And I will have figured out where the heck it is to reassign it. Growl says, very cool stuff. Heck yeah. All right, guys, the recording will be on Blender Mania on YouTube. If you have any questions, if you want to share your work, if you want to join in the contest, blendermania3.com. We'll see everyone there. Again, we will have another live tomorrow. And Ab, I don't know if Ab is still here, but for tomorrow, we'll do the lightning with clouds, geometry nodes, and all that stuff. So that will be the tutorial for tomorrow, brother. And with that, guys, blendermania3.com for more. We'll see everyone there. See you guys. Ciao for now. Au revoir.